Previously on Banlist Roulette. We are going to pray to our divine overlords that Maxi will stay banned because that card has no right staying in this game whatsoever. Let's hope for the best. Maxi is going to 1. It's not the worst thing that could happen, but I'm still not happy about it. What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. So it's time for another episode of Banlist Roulette. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar with this series, basically every time we're close to getting a new ban list, before I give you guys my actual predictions for the list, I like to go ahead and leave things up to chance, because sometimes when Konami does give us a new ban list, it can feel absolutely fucking random. So we're gonna name off a bunch of different cards and let the wheel determine the ban list's fate. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. I want to kick things off with Sky Striker because we are going to focus on the meta decks and what cards we feel should be hit in some shape or form, and I feel like Sky Striker has the axe coming because it's been like one of the best decks for over a year now, and I think Sky Striker Engage is one of the prime targets here. It got reprinted in Battles of Legend Heroes Revenge, and it's kind of like with Zodiac how it's going to get hit, probably banned most likely, but I'm curious to see where the wheel is going to leave with this card. Okay, so Engage going to 2 is actually similar to the OCG, and Sky Striker is still playable there with 2 Engage. So let's go ahead and see what else we have when we incorporate cards like Multi-Roll. Multi-Roll is another card that Sky Striker really likes to take advantage of. The recursion is absolutely prime, and it's realistically a very, very unfair card because if you can't deal with the Multi-Roll, you're just going to get completely out-resourced by Sky Striker. So if you theoretically hit the Multi-Roll, maybe the deck would become more balanced and fair and not just be one of the most dominating decks. Who knows? But let's see what the wheel has in store for Multi-Roll. Okay, semi-limited Multi-Roll as well. I'm starting to notice a pattern here. It's one less Multi-Roll, I guess, but I still think the deck would be incredibly strong. Let's wrap up Sky Striker with Widow Anchor. Widow Anchor is a card I believe the OCG has at 2, and it's one of the prime sources of disruption that the Sky Striker deck has. Very powerful card, and honestly, it's probably warranted getting a hit in some way, shape, or form. Let's see what we got. Wow, okay, so Widow Anchor is gonna get banned. We have 2 copies of Multi-Roll and 2 copies of Engage. Would that be enough to do anything to the deck? Maybe. I mean, Widow Anchor getting hit would be pretty significant. Now moving on, I want to talk about Salamangreat. Salamangreat actually won 4 of the 5 WCQs of the WCQ season. The only one it didn't end up winning was North America, which ended up being won by Danger Thunder Dragon, but when it came to Central America, South America, the European, and the Oceanic WCQs, Salamangreat won all 4 of them. So just as a consequence of that, I feel like Salamangreat's going to get hit in some way. It is one of the strongest decks of the format. I think it's the strongest deck of the format currently, but we'll just have to see. I think if they're going to hit anything, Gazelle might be the card that they go after, just because it's kind of like the heart and soul of the deck, and if you can kind of reduce the number of copies of Gazelle the deck has access to, then it becomes a lot more potent. The deck would still be playable even if Gazelle went to 1, which we've seen that happen in the OCG, and Salamangreat is still one of the strongest decks at the current moment. But let's go ahead and see what the wheel has in fate for Salamangreat Gazelle. Okay, if Gazelle got banned, that might just be like the end of this deck because Gazelle is pretty much what this deck needs to function. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's impossible for that to happen, but it's probably unlikely. It's still really funny though. Now the next meta deck I want to discuss is Orkest. Orkest, while it's probably not one of the strongest decks, it is very competitive and it definitely is in that tier 1 category. It has some incredible turn 1 boards. Dingirsu is just an absolute boss of a card, and we saw in the OCG they actually just moved to banning Nightmare Mermaid. So I figured we'd kick things off with Mermaid and see where it ends up and go from there. So let's see what the wheel has in store for Nightmare Mermaid. Alright, so Mermaid is staying at 3 and not going anywhere, which, again, it doesn't really do a whole lot if Mermaid gets banned, because there's still plenty of ways to do the same Orkest combo through means with like Isolde and different things like that. And obviously, it's not as easy without Mermaid, but still, I don't really think that would matter too much. One card a lot of people are crying out to get hit, though, is the Phantom Knight of Rusty Bardich. The fact that this card generates a +2 when it's summoned, it just does so much for the deck. Again, I think this is more of like one of the power cards that isn't necessarily facilitating a ton of the deck's power, because yes, while it is a very powerful card, even if you remove Rusty Bardich, Orkest is still going to be an incredibly strong deck regardless. So let's go ahead and see where Rusty Bardich ends up. Well, Rusty Bardich is staying at 3, and Orkest is not going anywhere. Now, the fourth and final meta deck I want to discuss is Danger Thunder Dragon, because this deck is incredibly powerful, just being able to pump out some absolutely amazing boards, being able to power through people's boards going second as well, because it just plays like 30 extenders, so you know, that's pretty good. One card I want to start off by discussing is Thunder Dragon Colossus, because a lot of people are calling for this card to get hit in some form because it is rather oppressive, pretty much denying your opponent from being able to search is pretty annoying, especially when you tie in the fact that it can't be destroyed by card effects for the most part. So that's rather annoying, and it is at 1 actually in the OCG, so maybe we'll see something similar happen here. Let's find out. Alright, Colossus is getting banned. While that would pretty much just destroy every Thunder Dragon player's hopes and dreams, it wouldn't be the end of decks playing in a similar role, because we've actually seen some decks, like we saw at the European WCQ, actually deviate and just cut all the Thunder cards entirely and just play like a Crusadia Guard Dragon Crusadia Guard Dragon build with like the Danger engine. So, you know, it's kind of the same deck, except you don't play all the Thunder cards, which are arguably the worst cards. You just kind of play them because Colossus is so good. But I kind of want to talk about the rest of that deck, because there are plenty of other combo enablers there that are definitely warranted of discussion and possibly banning. First up is Saryuja. Saryuja is just insane. This is probably one of the strongest Link 4s in the game. I think if this card gets limited, it would probably be okay, because then you can't really abuse multiple, but 1 is still very strong. Let's go ahead and see where Saryuja ends up. Okay, so if Saryuja went to 2, would that really do anything? I don't think so, because these decks are pretty much only playing 2 Saryuja anyway. I guess it would kind of curb the power of some of these like draw your whole deck FTKs that are really obscure, but I think 2 Saryuja is still pretty much just as bad as 3. Now, there are some other cards I do want to discuss, and that would be the Guard Dragon engine. You know, the Guard Dragon engine, a lot of people are crying out for LP to get banned, because we're getting to the point where the Guard Dragons can facilitate so much degeneracy that it kind of makes sense for the card to possibly get hit. I mean, yeah, it would completely ruin this playstyle, but cheating out the cards in the way the Guard Dragon engine does is a little bit powerful. It may be too much so, depending on how the meta shifts. So let's go ahead and see where LP ends up. Well, LP's staying at 3. What about Pisty? Well, Pisty's staying at 3. What about Agripane? Okay, so LP's staying at 3, Pisty's staying at 3, but then Agripane gets banned. Will that actually do anything? Yeah, kind of. I mean, Agripane being able to special summon stuff out of the extra deck like Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss or Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, or just whatever powerful card that you want as a form of negation out of the extra deck, yeah, that would actually kind of do something. I think in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't matter too much, but Agripane is kind of what gets you to your first layer of negation, where LP is kind of what bridges and starts the whole combo entirely. So I don't think it would be like the greatest hit, but it wouldn't be bad either. Now, another huge component of these decks are, of course, the danger cards. I mean, the danger cards have proven that they are just absurdly powerful, and a lot of people think that these cards should be hit in some way, shape, or form. I don't exactly know the correct way to go about this. The OCG doesn't even have these cards yet, so we don't even know what they've come up with in terms of decks like this, but it's a very interesting problem. The 3 most powerful being Nessie, Tsuchinoko, as well as Jackalope. I feel like if you just like limit Nessie, I feel that that would be okay, because then you still can play the other dangers and they're still level 3, so you've got like Burning Abyss synergy, kind of different things like that, but then Nessie was kind of the facilitator to get you the other ones that you wanted to to hand, so maybe that's a solution. I'm not too sure. Let's go ahead and see where Nessie ends up on our list. Okay, Nessie going to 2. That would slightly hit the consistency of the deck. I don't think it would outright kill it. Let's see about Jackalope. Okay, Jackalope stays at 3, and Tsuchinoko. Tsuchinoko would go to 2. That's not horrible. I think it would curb the power of these danger decks just a little bit. I don't think it would completely outright kill the decks, but I guess a hit to consistency isn't the worst thing. Now, if there's one card we need to discuss on Banlist Roulette, it's Mystic Mine. People hate this card with a burning passion, and I'm definitely one of them. Anytime there's a card that's so oppressive that just basically says you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh!, it's not fun. No one wants to play against that, especially when that strategy pretty much shapes deck building for the foreseeable future. We've seen them handle this in the OCG in a way that I don't necessarily agree with. I'd kind of rather just see this card get banned outright, because then you can leave Metaverse at 3, and I feel like that's kind of just better, because then anyone who wants to play field spells isn't limited by the fact that Mystic Mine is preventing all these other cards from being taken down with it. But let's see what the wheel has in store for Mystic Mine. Oh, Mystic Mine is getting banned. I would absolutely love that, and I think a lot of you guys would too. Now, towards the end of Banlist Roulette, I like to just throw in a couple cards that are already on the ban list that I think could probably move. I think the first one I want to go ahead and shout out is Construct. You know, Construct has been on the limited list for a while now, and guess what? No one's playing it at all. I mean, we see people playing Shaddoll Fusion in the side deck, and you're not even playing Construct, which is arguably the best Shaddoll Fusion out of all of them. Winda is just better in this metagame, and honestly, I think if they put Construct to 2 or even 3, it would still do absolutely nothing. They just reprinted all the Shaddolls, or like, I guess most of them, in Battles of Legends Heroes Revenge, so why not move the card to 3? It would just make perfect sense with their marketing plan. Let's see what happens. Shaddoll Construct is at 3, ladies and gentlemen, finally! And while we're at it, why not just go ahead and throw Shirt of the Necroz in there as well? This is another card that could probably move and be okay. We see Necroz as one of those rogue decks that pops up every once in a while, and I think it's just cool to give it one extra little boost to push it up in that rogue tier category. I think the deck is phenomenal, it's really cool, and it's a ritual-based deck. Who doesn't want to see this deck being a viable rogue contender? So let's go ahead and see where Shirt ends up. Alright, it's staying at 1. I guess that's okay. And it wouldn't be Banlist Roulette without our end of the video tradition. There's one card we always have to do for good measure. Maxi. Maxi is a card that I personally believe should stay banned. I know it's a very polarizing opinion. Some of you guys say it should go to 3. Some of you guys say it should stay at 1, which makes absolutely no sense. But I personally feel like the card should stay banned. And as always, let's hope for the best. Maxi is staying banned. One more season of no Maxi. Let's go! So guys, that's gonna wrap up this episode of Banlist Roulette. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoy making these videos for you. I'll have my more serious banlist predictions coming up at the beginning of next week, so we can talk a little bit more in depth, be more insightful about some of these decisions as to how we can shape the format to kind of correct some things that need to be corrected and have things going better into the new competitive season. So for the meantime, thank you so much for watching the video. Let me know down in the comment section what you think should get hit. I'd really love to hear your thoughts. So guys, thank you again so much for watching the video. Be sure to like the video as always. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. And if you found this video entertaining, consider supporting me on Patreon or becoming a YouTube channel member. Because just by showing your support in any way that you can, you're investing in my ability to continue bringing you amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content. So thanks so much again, and we'll see you next time.